overall, I mean, hopefully people like it. Sometimes you get very positive feedback. Sometimes people are like, oh, what the fuck is this? But overall, I think the work lately has been quite cool. So this is one of the works which I actually sold to one of my friends, Boss Logic. I mean, a lot of people from the space probably know him. He's doing like major things. And I've known him for a couple of years now. We used to be in the same art collective called /3. And he bought this a while ago. So it's very nice when your friends, your fellow artists, they support your work and they feel like they want to buy your work, and I even send them a print of it. And this is another one I recently sold as an NFT on Foundation. So as you can see already, the style has changed a lot. It's more shiny, more colorful, and I mean, I think the style is a bit more distinctive by now. And this is also one of the recent series I've created. As you can see, a lot of animals in my work. I really like illustrating animals. So yeah. And some of the recent NFTs I've created. This is the way I create my work. Is that I usually create all kinds of these like abstract elements, diamonds, whatever, and I place them very meticulously one by one in place so that people can see, like, for example, an illustration like this. And it takes a lot of work, but for me it's very calming. I just put on some music and I just go crazy. So it takes a lot of time. As you can see, there's a lot of details in my work, but for me it's a very calming feeling just to sit at home, listen to some music, and just create some crazy illustrations. And then this is the one that I recently minted. It's a bit more abstract, a bit more colorful, like some symmetry in the background. But yeah, that's like the overall stuff that I'm currently working on, and I'm also currently working on some NFTs for the future. I'm working on a collaboration with a friend of mine. His name is Andreas Prijs, and he has like a very particular style. And we're going to try and mix like our two styles together and see how it looks, and then we'll probably mint it on Foundation and create like a 50-50 split, so we both get half of the profits. And yeah, this is what I'm currently working on, so hopefully we can release this soon. And yeah, two more which I'm currently creating. I'm working on a collaboration with Sander van Doorn, who's a Dutch trance DJ. He's actually one of the biggest trance DJs in the world. And we're thinking about doing an NFT collab together so that people that buy the NFT, the artwork, will also get his single for free, so that they will actually own the vinyl, but also like the digital file of the single. So that's something that's probably coming in like maybe 2 or 3 months. So this is the artworks that we're currently working on. And yeah, it's just a really quick walkthrough of the work that I'm currently creating. And there's another illustration. As you can see, a lot of diamonds, a lot of intricate details. So yeah, that's the way I like to work, and yeah, I hope people like it as well. So if you have any questions or whatever, just feel free to let me know. I think I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen now, and then we can take the rest of the time to talk, chill, ask me some questions, and maybe if people want, I can even go into some of my Photoshop files and show some of my process.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, if you'd like to dissect one of this, Rizzle says yes, process. People love seeing the story behind the art, and whether that's from concept to, what you do throughout your process, feel free to share any of that you'd love to.
So was there any of the artworks that stood out, like the one, like should I open the one with a lot of details, or which one should I open?
Yeah, the one with the eye looks really cool, or any really, they're all beautiful. So yeah, we'd love to see, the thought process behind that.
Just gonna look for the file. Yeah.
Yeah, and if anyone has any questions, feel free to shout them out in the live chat as well.
I'm currently opening up the file because it's insane how big it is. So wait, I'm gonna have to start sharing my screen again. Yeah, so here it is. Screens. I think it's live now. Yep. So this is one of the 3 from the series, which I recently created. And as you can see already, there's an insane amount of layers in here. So what I really like doing is that I have like these assets I create myself, which are basically created in Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop. Like you can see them right here. This is like hundreds of really small but colorful and detailed, like almost like diamonds or gems, or I don't know what you want to call them. And then I just go crazy. I go into the Photoshop and I just start placing them like in different compositions. And as you can see, I'm going to first hide every single layer. And you will see that's like more and more details start appearing. This file probably contains like, I don't know, maybe like 2,000 layers. So.
Wow, so first you're going and you create all the little crystals and then you're hand placing each one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's an insane amount of time that it takes, but I think the results, it has something special. And I don't always do this. I mean, I sometimes also like, for example, one of my recent illustrations is more, I don't know, I was like, for example, this one is a bit the same, I would say. Like if you zoom in, then you see all these like really intricate details, and it almost looks a bit like it's made in a 3D software, but it's actually just like custom made in Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop, using a lot of gradients, a lot of shine, and just adding glow here and there. And just by doing that, I just one by one place all these elements inside where I want them. And then at some point you zoom out and you look at it and it's like, damn, there's the whole illustration, So this is the process that I really like doing. And at some point, you start adding like these effects and this shine and some bright elements, and layer by layer just start building until you have like a final illustration. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a crazy level of detail where you can't even appreciate it all until you really have to sit with it and see that all those individual crystals were created and the form it creates. The form is beautiful. I just think, the level of detail there is so awesome.
Yeah. Also the thing, like, you want people to have like something that, I mean, if someone's going to buy an NFT of you, you want them to also buy it for the value. Some people, if they buy the NFT, they get like the full version of the NFT, and they can zoom in and just appreciate all the details. And I also really like giving my collectors a physical print, so that they have like an aluminum print which you can hang in the living room or wherever, so they actually have something that maybe their guests or themselves or whatever just can walk up to and enjoy. And now my computer is starting to lag a little bit because I'm opening another big file, and it's maybe a bit too much for my computer to handle, which I have a really good computer, but sometimes it's just going crazy.
Yeah, the files are just too powerful.
Maybe while it's loading in, maybe I can answer some questions from the chat.
Yeah. Do we have any chat questions in the chat? Live chat. See lots of people shouting out in there.
Wait, I'm just gonna close down Photoshop because it's taking too long. Oh wait, there it is.
Wow. Yeah, this eyepiece is amazing.
So this is actually going to be printed on a kiteboard, because this was created in collaboration with a friend of mine who has like a kiteboarding company. So our idea was that if someone buy the NFT, that we will actually send this person a signed kiteboard, so they can either use the kiteboard themselves if they are into extreme sports, or they can put it on their wall or whatever. Instead of just having like a standard print, you can actually put like an actual physical board on your wall.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, it has a very intricate mandala, feel to it. Oh man.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm unhiding groups right now, but actually the groups also have like all of these different layers inside them, which is like one by one, you just get closer to the center, and every single group has like a function or a detail. And then you have the eyelid, and then background, And imagine that I'm really sitting at home, looking at my screen, putting some music on, and just placing one by one, placing them in there.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a very meditative process too, right? All
It's,
the micro details.
it's really, for me, people will be like often like, "Wow, how do you have the patience for this?" Or how can you even do that? I mean, don't you get bored of it at some point? But I mean, I really like doing it. It's really calming. And I mean, I think a question in the chat was like, how much do you usually spend on it? I would say at least like 45 hours, at least sometimes. But the thing is, I usually work on like multiple projects at the same time. So let's say, for example, a deadline is within 2 or 3 weeks. I would spend like 4 or 5 days on it, and then just
Wow.
skip between projects. So the one moment I'm working on something, then I'm just closing the file, saving it, and working on another project, so that I'm not constantly just 12 hours a day, 10 hours a day sitting and looking at the same working file. I usually just swap between projects so that I don't get bored of working on something for too long.
Yeah, so you get to work over a course of a longer period of time, and it kind of undergoes these changes over that time. Yeah. Yeah,
So
Maria Verde, I think you touched on this, asked how much time you spend on your creations. So you said about 40 to 45 hours, or, I mean, obviously it
but it
varies.
depends. Like sometimes when you get in the flow, and everything can go really fast, and sometimes it takes a bit longer because it's like, I don't know, time consuming, or you don't know, like sometimes you don't know where you're going with the project, and you have,
Yeah,
like, at some point you have like this aha moment, and you're like, this is how I'm gonna do it. But
yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
it takes a while, and sometimes you're just working on something for a very long time. Let me check one more project.
Yeah, and while you pull that one up, Rizzle asks, are these abnormally large files, or does it just seem really large because of the level of detail?
Um, I usually work at least 5,000 by 5,000 pixels and 300 dpi, so that's already a large file. And then also the amount of layers is it's insane sometimes.
Wow. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
as you can
so
see,
not only is it a large file, but you do have so much detail in there.
like every single
Wow.
custom shape is just placed in there. And I do use photo references so that I know that the anatomy of the animal, for example, is correct.
Hmm.
I usually just keep the photo on the side so that I can just loosely place the stones where I want them to be. And then at some point, like you work from very dark to very light. So that's how I create shading. And at some point you zoom out and you're looking at the image and it's like, okay, now it's complete.
Yeah. Wow.
But the process of these it's quite similar. So that this is like the background that I first create. It's just putting shapes and like shapes in the right place and creating like this background mandala / ornament, or however you want to call it.
Hmm.
Then the next part is just the lioness, which is where the most work goes into. So that's usually like 20, 30 hours at least. And then of course the recoloring and shading and whatever. So very time consuming. But I mean, the thing is, I really love doing this. So for me, like I don't feel like I'm working, and especially now with the NFT world, like when I'm working for clients, sometimes it can get like a little bit annoying that you have to work for clients because they always have like these revisions that they want to do, or like they want to be the person in control. And when you're working for yourself and just letting your creativity flow free when you're creating NFTs, that's the most amazing feeling because you know that people appreciate your work. You can just create whatever you like, and you can like give it your all. You can put your whole heart in there, and as soon as you put them online, people they show the love. And at some point, maybe when you're lucky, there's a collector coming by that collects your work, and it's a whole different experience than when you're working for clients. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the beauty of the space that we're all building together.
Yeah, it's
Um,
insane. I mean, like I got into this space about 9 months ago, and I never imagined this to be like such a tight community, and everyone's helping each other. And there's artists that are collecting other artists' work. Like it's not even like the really, really extremely rich people just collecting work. It's also like just small time artists, you know, that are supporting each other, which is amazing, I think. So
Yeah, I think it makes for a very sustainable ecosystem because so much of the value that it's generating is getting reinvested into the system, you know. Even a
exactly.
lot of collectors that aren't artists, you know, if they're making profits, they're either buying more art or, you know, they're building in the space, things like that. You're seeing a lot of the ecosystem kind of supporting itself, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like if I look at myself, the Ethereum that I've made for my work, I've not cashed out one single Ethereum yet. I've just either kept it in my wallet or invested in other people's projects or other my friends' art. You know, like I just feel
Yeah,
really grateful for the people that are supporting me, and I just want to give back. So and I think almost every artist is feeling the same. Like it's insane. The whole vibe
yeah,
is just it's mental. So yeah, I mean,
yeah,
just stuff like this when you're just this is me, 29 years old, living in my apartment and talking to, I mean, I don't know how many people are there, you know, but there's so many people that joined and people are listening in and, you know, it's insane. So I'm really grateful for that.
yeah. You live to see it, right? Like the people who built, you know, the digital art space with the /3, the people who have been, you know, creating for so long. This is like the dream, right? Um, yeah, what's it been like for you and your peers, like your friends? You know, I know you go back to the /3 days. You mentioned Boss Logic, who was part of that. You know, I know there's a lot of artists in the NFT space too. How's it been for everyone? You know, do you have a lot of friends who you've kind of been along this journey with?
Well, I would say that like the art group I used to be a member of, it was called /3, and there was a lot of like even Puck was used to be a member of it, and Bilelis also used to be a member of it. Then you have Boss Logic and a lot more like really big NFT artists. And I would say that they are probably like miles ahead than compared to me in the NFT world. But you know, I was a bit late, I guess, and now I'm just feel like I'm just doing my thing, and I don't really even feel the need to catch up because I mean, I really like that they have gotten really far, you know, and I really appreciate the work that they have done. And I will just do my thing, and I just hope that I can someday, you know, step in the spotlight as well. But I mean, I really like what those guys are doing. I think it's great for the whole ecosystem, and I think it's great for the whole community that there's like so many people breaking through, and it's like it's insane what they are achieving. It's amazing. So I'm really happy for them.
Awesome.
And I also want to make sure, by the way, there's one person in chat that is 29 with my own apartment. I'm renting this, so it's not my own apartment. But you know, maybe if I sell enough NFTs, I can sometimes someday buy my own house. You never know.
Yeah, that's the dream. You know, I think
But
that where this space is heading, you know, it's like that's totally within reach, you know, and the space is, you know, it's hard to say where we are at in kind of like this hype cycle or whatnot, but you know, I think everyone can agree that
the thing
NFTs
is,
are here to
I
stay.
must say that I don't even really care about the money, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm still doing a lot of freelance projects for my clients that I always used to work for, and that's the thing that you know allows me to sustain myself. So I'm making a living off that. And everything that I do next to that is just more like a hobby. So the NFT stuff that I create is more like because I like creating art actually. And I mean, every buck that you make, it's nice. It's like a bonus to me. And I try to just reinvest it in the space and I just try to give back to other artists. Like, I don't really feel the need to get rich or whatever. I just really like creating art. And I mean, it's nice that people can appreciate it, right? So that's like one of the biggest compliments when people like your work and people like to support you. That's amazing.
absolutely. Do you have any artists in particular that you know you've been supporting or you know would love to shine a light on?
I mean, the guy that I spoke about when I was showing my work, Andreas Preis, he's from Germany. I think he lives in Berlin, and we are working on a collaboration. But his style is amazing, and I feel like there's a lot of like I wouldn't call them OG, but like people from back in the day, from those art collectors like Devcore, /3, whatever, that are still very undervalued. There's a lot of people that are like insanely huge in the NFT space, but there's like also the people I grew up with that are basically more like the people where it all started, you know, and there's so many talent out there yet to be discovered. Like Andreas Preis, for example, he's an amazing artist from Germany. I would advise everyone to check him out because his line work is insane. And there's so many more that are like I mean, there's even a lot of people that maybe a month ago didn't even hear about NFTs yet, but which are still great artists, and they are just starting out now. And then sometimes I see like work being sold for 50 Ethereum, and then I look at my friend's work, for example, which is insane. That's being sold for 0.5 Ethereum. I'm like, damn, this guy deserves so much more, you know. But I mean, everyone will at some point get their time to shine, I guess. So I think it's just a matter of having patience and just doing what you enjoy doing. So just create art and just hang in there, you know.
Absolutely, and that's always been the case for the digital artists, right? You know, we've been making art since before it made money, and I think any of us who love the art and love the creation and the creative process, we'd be making it after as well. So
I mean, like I just said, I'm currently still renting an apartment, and I'm really happy that I'm able to sustain myself now. But a couple of years ago, every now and then I had to call my father, "Can you please transfer me like 200 euros so I can pay my rent?" You know. So
yeah.
there have been different times for me as well. So that's
totally
why I think a lot of people that are artists and are in this NFT space now, they are so grateful because they know where they've come from. You know.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I remember spending months on France floors or couches. It's because art is, that's what we want to do. So, yeah, that's awesome. I love, I love hearing this story. I love seeing all the beautiful art. Does anyone have any questions in the chat? We have just a few more minutes here with Mart. But yeah, and is there any upcoming projects or releases that you have planned? I know you mentioned a couple. Anything that you'd like people to watch out for, or upcoming things to keep an eye out for?
I would say I'm not really like the person that plans a lot. I really like just creating. So almost every day I'm just working on a project, and I just decide for myself which I'm going to release and which I'm not going to release. But I mean, the easiest way just to stay updated is just follow me on Twitter, I guess. And I mean, even if people have questions after the stream, feel free to send me a message. I will try to answer to everything. And I mean, I would also love to see other people's work. So it's not just me sharing my work. I mean, I really like following other people's art. So if other people have like art they want to share, just send it to me, and I will try to follow you and check out your work. And maybe if I have some Ethereum to spare, I can maybe buy some of your work. You know, I also really like just giving back to the community. So
Awesome.
so nothing in particular, but I mean, I'm just creating every day, and every now and then I release something new.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. I think we have a couple more minutes here. I did have a question. I don't know if you're familiar with much of the metaverse world or virtual worlds. Have you heard much of that? Are you visiting any metaverse world?
I'll be honest. I'm trying to keep track of Twitter and Discord, but even that is hard for me sometimes because I'm working full time during the day, working for clients and stuff like that. So for me, it's hard to keep track of everything. I've heard the word metaverse a lot. I've never really actually went to one of those yet. So, okay. I mean, I'm still learning every day, you know. That's what I said. It feels like I'm young again. It feels like I'm just starting out creating digital art again because I'm learning so much. It's insane.
Yeah. Rizzle dropped a couple links. So the way this works is we always run, the event in parallel in Crypto Voxels, and then we have like the Discord running in parallel. But if you're ever interested in checking out, something like Crypto Voxels or Decentraland, Rizzle said it's as easy as clicking the link. But yeah, that's one of the virtual worlds we love. Yeah, even on crappy phones you can go. But you have a computer, so you should be fine.
Okay, so I just clicked on the link that Nifty Time sent in the chat.
I think yeah, they both sent that one. Rizzle sent it. Yeah, I think it's going to the same place. And actually, we have it's pretty cool. Brian Brinkman, who I think is one of the speakers today, has a new build. So yeah, that'd be the first one you get to check out, which would be pretty awesome too.
I will stick around and I will check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already quite late here, but I will stick around and then just see what it's all about, what the fuss is all about, because I've never actually been to one of those things yet. So
yeah, everyone's talking about the metaverse these days, right? So
yeah,
you gotta actually see what it really is,
It's the word of 2020, I guess, after Corona.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mart. And I think we have Nifty Time and Rizzle who are going to be taking it away for the whip. But
Yeah, thank you guys as well, man. I've tried to keep track of the chat, and the support is insane. Like everyone's really nice, so I'm really thankful for being here. And yeah, hopefully I'll be around next time as well.
yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
All right, y'all. Well, it's
go ahead.
Thanks, Trippy. We have 1 minute to go, so we may as well get started a little bit early today. Take advantage of that time. But big shout out to Trippy Yogi and Mart for hopping on the pre-whip trip. It was great to listen to your story, and God, you've done so much already at 29. It's really mind-blowing what you've been able to accomplish. But we have a great show for everyone today. Before we get into that, just want to shout out everyone who participated in the giveaways last week. There are a whole grip of them. I know there's some fly frogs that were awarded to people. Congratulations if you won one of those. Hidden Forces walked away with the first Dreamverse NFT ticket to be awarded by the Metaverse team. Apparently you already had a ticket, so some lucky fan is going to win his gifted Dreamverse tickets, so that's cool. This week we have another competition to win a Dreamverse NFT ticket designed by A Lot of Money. They're really, really, really sick tickets. We'll be sharing those instructions for how to participate in the guest book, which you have to jump in world to find and fill out. But for everyone listening right now, just tweet out at Dreamverse_life. Tell them why you want to go to Dreamverse event and then tag the WIP giveaways in the tweet. It's pretty simple. And then we'll randomly choose someone after the show. I think there's some other giveaways that Rizzle has on the docket that he'll share with you, but I'm really excited for the speakers today. We have the Ulta crew coming through. We have Hool, OG Sentient, and George going to be giving a little teaser about what they have cooking up. Of course, we have Brian Brinkman, who has a nifty gateway drop today, 6:30 p.m. He's going to share those details. And then later on, he's going to give everyone a tour of his new CryptoVoxels crib that I encourage everyone to jump onto the roof right now. We're going to be sharing the links throughout the show. And we have Chuck, an art lawyer, who's been pretty prolific in his tweets on Twitter talking about Rare and the Rare DAO. He's going to be talking about some of his ideas on that really interesting conversation right there. Before I pass the mic to my dude Rizzle, big shout out to Proof of Beauty Studios, the experimental NFT studio that's sponsoring the WIP for whatever season we're on, which I think is the season of the dog at this point. They have a lot of projects that are really worth checking out. The Piano Project, Hash, Publico, as well as London. You can learn more about their London projects at london.pob.studio. But without further ado, it's time to bring on the hype train conductor himself, Rizzle Man. Whenever you're ready, unmute it and take us away.
Thanks, dude. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. It's like pregnant pause there. I don't know if Show's actually been keeping track of the seasons, but he could make a convincing argument that this is season 5B, and I would totally believe him. Hey, fair enough. Season 5B, the season of the frog/turtle is what I think we started out as. It doesn't matter. Okay, yeah, hop in world to sign the guest list. I'm still stashing our stash of Whipsy to be rained on your heads with this pointless currency once the tip bot behaves and we have enough to like bribe it or whatever we got to do. Let's see. I got sort of a self shill, but it's for charity. Some of you guys may remember Graph Giraffe Gang came on the WIP, and we had them on the Matt and Rizzle show. They have an NFT project that benefits disabled artists. All the proceeds go to disabled artists, and they're going to be auctioning off the Rizzle Raff tomorrow. I'm going to just link you guys to their Twitter handle. And it was done by one of Nicole from Vertical Crypto Arts. I don't art very well, so Nicole hooked me up with Walter from her residency program. He helped me create the Rizzle Raff. It's going to get auctioned off for charity. I'm going to buy it if nobody else does, but just putting that out there. I think it goes up for auction tomorrow. at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So keep an eye out for that. That's my self-shill for charity. Dude is dope. If you haven't listened to the podcast that Matt and I recorded, he's a genuinely awesome dude and his heart is in the right place. So I'm like super happy to support his project. Let's see. This Brinkman, when he speaks, needs to account for this free drink sign that I believe is fake. I think he's rugging us already, or my caterpillar drank them all. But we need some clarification up by this bar over here. Shout out to Brian Brinkman. He's honestly one of my favorite people in the space who I have not gotten a chance to hang out with in person. Oh, it does work? All right, awesome. I was just goofing around. We were actually harassing Brian live in he's calling me a cheater. We were harassing Brian live in Miami from a bar because we wanted to hang out with Brian. Let's see. Stick around till the end. Hang out. We've got Fake Paradox, I believe, in the house. Real Paradox is somewhere with a potato phone or something. He might be here, but might not be able to like be in Crypto Voxels or something like that. But we love Paradox and we wish him well in his travels. Yes, thank you, Show. I ran a 5K with Spherical Art, one of the OG community members, frequent WIP attendee, Crypto Voxels dancer on Saturday. And I actually kept up with him. Yo, Spherical Art, I won't like reveal his age, but he's like way older than I am and placed number 2 in his age bracket. And this is like a story for another time. But anyway, I thought we were like, I did keep up with him. Spherical Art will attest to this. But you know, I'm not gonna say I was like prepared for the pace at which we were gonna go. Okay, so I think that's it. This is not my stage. It is mine to pass on to Hool and George's. Make sure you hop in World, get your free drink, and sign the guest book. And with that, Hool and George, I'm not sure which one of you wants to grab the mic first, but if you can hear this, you can take it away from me.
Yeah. Hello? Can you hear me?
Sounds good, dude. Yeah, man.
Wow, okay. Well, first things first, George can't make it tonight. He's exhausted from coding all day. So it's just myself. I know he'll be listening in. And so how you doing, man? How's it going? Sorry, I thought I was talking there.
You're doing great, man.
Yeah, good. I wasn't sure what sort of. I literally just logged into this and got. How does this work? So yeah, okay. So I'll take it away then. I suppose I just talk. I was talking to Matthew about 8 months ago. Was it? I think about us starting off with. At that time was Art Evolve, and it transitioned out into Ulta. So our website is ulta.art. You guys wanted to take a look at that. We just updated it today, and straight off, I just wanted to say that it's actually a work in progress. We have another week before we launch 2 artworks. Another week before we auction the 2 artworks that are currently up there. So you check it out. So okay, so what is Ulta? For those who don't know, it's what is it? It's a interactive art, interactive NFTs. We just thought we'd make it very difficult for ourselves. We thought we'd work with interactive artists, and so we've been working for about 8 months now on this project. And yeah, so the project is we're building a web platform for artists who code to showcase and sell their interactive art as NFTs. Okay, and I wanted to start with talking about who I am and who we are first. Okay, so we're artists ourselves. We're developing the platform. Like personally, I've been an animator for about 20 years. I've worked on lots of VFX movies and clients like Google and Microsoft. And I worked on like projects like Paul, like VFX movies like Paul, Chappie, Jurassic World, all that stuff. Really, really cool. I was very proud, like, to work on these projects and with these fantastic clients. Okay. However, like, if I look back on my 20 years, I've had a life of a lot of uncertainty as an artist. You just, and not only me, but my wife, my kids, and myself, and other clients, you know, or sorry, other colleagues, should I say? So I wrote a few sentences here. I wanted to read out and see if people think. But this is how I felt my journey has been before NFTs and Web3. Okay. So dream, job, no job, silence, am I good enough? Employed, relocate, unemployed, silence. Start, stop, start again. You're in, you're out. This future that we know is boring. So this is waking up to what NFTs are. This is a life where, you know, it's harder when you start off, it's great. You have this dream, and then you go out and work with clients. After a while, it gets hard. You try to, you know, have a family. So this is my drive. This is my drive initially for like trying to make a platform that we could actually help other artists like ourselves. And I suppose this last line, this future that we know is boring, that sums up, I suppose, our mission. Like basically we want to just help artists make cool shit, you know. And yeah, like I suppose that's the key thing. So what have we been doing the past 8 months, right? We launched alpha version in August. We sold 3 of our own artworks, interactive artworks. That's George and myself. And we've been lucky to have 3 art collectors buy them. Then since that, we've been onboarding new interactive artists and developing new platform features and new web design, and then also going through an equity round for the very first time, which is actually quite a long process. Which actually I wanted to mention. A lot of you guys might know already, but one of our investors is Cameron Hijazi. He's actually the CEO of Scent and Valuables, and like we're so proud that he's actually supporting us. And like from day one on Scent, right? Matthew, you guys have been amazing, and I was talking to Cameron from day one when I started mentioning Art Evolve, you know, before it became Ulta. So it's amazing for us. What else? Oh yeah, so I suppose I want to mention Mark Date. You guys know Mark Date, the founder of Rendar. He's also part of Seed Club, and he's kind of coming in, helping us, advise us on tokenomics and Ulta token, and eventually we plan to transition to a DAO. And I suppose the only other thing I wanted to say was that we so far we've got like 6 like interactive artists. They're really amazing. Like you may know some of them. They've been on the NFT space for a while, like people like Samzy and people like Iskra at Pointline. And we are talking with Nahiko as well to come on and make some interactive art for us. But I just wanted to shout out specifically 2 artists. We're going to launch at Pointline _. Her name is Iskra. And Jordan, his Twitter handle is at XVI_Jojo. And these 2 guys, these 2 people, we're going to drop their interactive NFTs next Thursday. Hopefully we can come back here and launch those auctions here. I suppose that's really all I wanted to say. I don't know if anyone has any questions about Ulta. You know, we'd love you, you know, if I can shout out something about where to go or...
Yeah, I think there's going to be a couple questions, and just wanted to thank you for stopping by and giving us this teaser. I know there's more to reveal, but we wanted to let folks and prime them for the big reveal next week. But Sho, if there's any questions from the audience, or if you have your questions to deliver to Hool, take it away, man.
Thank you.
Hey, Hool, what's going on, man?
Hey, man. Hello.
Aside from you and your partner George's names sounding like an 80s new wave duo in the vein of Wham and Hall & Oates, Hool and George is kind of cool. What is it about experiencing immersive art that appeals to you the most?
Do you know what it is, right? It's participation. I think we can advance the Web3 space by having a role of participation. So the way I see participation affecting or helping enhance NFTs Web3 is, you have not only a visual aesthetic, a concept, but you can add value to an NFT by like giving the audience a sense of ownership, or bringing more exposure to artist or collector's piece, but also just, I suppose, enhancing the artist's concept, because the artist can give the audiences something to do with the art. And without, briefly, I suppose, we've got features that the artist will be able to utilize if it fits their concept. And I suppose where we're going with this is something like multiplayer art. But right now, people are able to come and save, they interact with the art, alter it, and then save that change. So I think the fun could be, where the audience participation. I think that's the key thing we love.
That's cool. We also have a question from Brian Brinkman. He would like to know, currently you have a mouse as an input for interactivity. Do you see other inputs as well?
Well, yes. So currently we already have an artwork online now, where it detects the camera, and when you move in front of it, the artwork moves. So that's on right now. That's going to go on auction next week. So that's already one input. We also, obviously, through the web, we can have web VR experiences and web AR. So we see a lot of interesting AR, like event-based, especially when we go into multiplayer, but a lot of event-based interactions. Sorry, I hope, does that answer the question, Brian?
Yes, it does. And lastly, we have another question from Rendered Flesh. He would like to know, are there any plans to team up or collab with artists who do not know how to code?
Yeah, totally. Right. So that is 100% what we're already thinking. I already have reached out to even some studios, because some friends of mine that have since set up their own studios, and I kind of see in the future or not very distant future, where animation studios or design studios might have an NFT department, but besides that, what we want to do is definitely have the interactive artists are almost like the leads. They're the people that come in, but however, we do want teams to come in. We want collaborations. We want whatever the team is, it really doesn't matter who does what. What we want is an interactive experience of some sort. It could be a choose your own adventure. It could be just a one-off art piece, or it could be an artwork that changes over time. Because I'll explain next week, unless there's time, but we have features which could open up a lot of creative possibilities for distribution of art. So totally want teams. And another note on that is that, so we're working with Sora protocol. We're using that protocol. We're integrating that in our website. And what they're doing right now is soon to launch a split revenues setup. So the minute that's released, we're going to integrate that in, and we are definitely opening up for teams and collaborations.
Love that. Splits are probably one of my favorite innovations in the whole space. And like you mentioned, next week there's going to be a big reveal. Keep cracking that whip on George in the coding room. Keep it locked in there until he's finished. Thank you so much.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much for sharing, man, and we'll see you back here next week.
Thanks very much. Thank you, guys.
Cool.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Yep. And the next up is the man of the hour, Brian Brinkman, Sir Brian Brinkman, I should say, whose crib we're all crashing on the roof right now. He has his Nifty Gateway drop today, but without wasting any more time, I'll pass the mic to Brian to take it away and tell us what he's been working on and cooking up for us. If you're talking, Brian, we cannot hear you, sir. What is the button that we put? P? Try P, Brian.
This is Charles Coleman. I can go now if he's having technical issues.
Yeah, Chuck, let's do that. Brian, as you figure out how to work your audio, we'll have Chuck step in here and
sorry, my dog's in the background.
Oh, good, man. Take it away.
Okay. So I only asked to go last because I'm very new to this space, and I don't claim to be an expert on NFTs. I know a lot more about the traditional art world because I've represented a lot of clients in the traditional art world and the traditional fashion world. And, as a lot of us know, traditional systems don't work that well for artists. One example that gets me upset almost daily is California's law that was intended to guarantee artists resale royalties, which Sotheby's and Christie's fought aggressively for years in court using all sorts of clever legal arguments. And eventually, they essentially nullified the law. So one of the reasons that NFTs are exciting to me is that, at least potentially, they allow for automating secondary sale royalties in a way that circumvents these legal issues in the US. And I kind of, not bullied, but that's what litigators do, right? I kind of put pressure on somebody at Sotheby's via Twitter to commit to whether they would honor resale royalties and not circumvent them through various techniques, though I think there are legal avenues to be pursued if they did try to circumvent them. And Sotheby's committed to honoring these resale royalties. Now I'm trying to work on Christie's and others. So, I don't think that the law is always the solution, and I know, and as I said, the law has often failed artists. I've also seen that, which will surprise nobody, that the party with more resources often wins. So I found myself often representing artists or designers at a dramatically discounted rate against a party that was just so much more well-funded, but they can sort of wear you down. So the extent to which you can opt out of that system and make it possible for artists to earn a living and still protect their interests without necessarily getting all the baggage that comes along with the law, I see that as a good thing. And that means sometimes that I have to be an asshole, right? That's part of being a lawyer. So I'm happy to do that on behalf of artists. And in fact, I used to tell my clients a lot, I'm not in active practice now, which is why I say that, but I used to tell them, when they needed to get the counterparty to sign something or whatever, tell them your lawyer's making you do it, and it's really annoying, and I don't mind you fake bad-mouthing me in that way. So I sort of see my role, to the extent there is one, in rare commentary, as doing what it's difficult for artists to do, right? Because I understand that artists on social media are trying to cultivate a particular persona. They're trying to talk about their art in a certain way, and talking about a fungible, it's going to mess up that branding for a lot of people. Super Rare, on the other hand, both because it's a luxury brand, and so it doesn't play well for it to talk about, sort of grubby money issues any more than necessary, and for legal reasons, because it's considered a best practice for an entity that's distributed tokens not to promote the tokens publicly. I just sort of found myself stepping in and advocating for the token because I felt like somebody needed to explain to traditional investors how strong the platform was, people outside the NFT space. And then as I sort of got more involved in it, I was thinking about how some of the innovations we've seen in DAOs in other areas could perhaps be brought into NFT DAOs. I think NFT and culture-based DAOs, or culture DAOs as I sometimes call them, have some inherent advantages over DeFi DAOs. One that I've tweeted a lot about is I just think that they're so much more fun, that people are willing to volunteer for it, right? To dedicate their time to it. Super Rare has been pretty clever in kind of aligning the interests of artists with the interests of the platform by airdropping Rare, and that helps too. But one proposal that I've been promoting online, because I know a lot of fungible investors are obsessed with staking rewards. And I think that's sometimes misguided because it usually requires diluting the token's value over the long term. So, I have a long post on the Super Rare DAO Reddit, which is I just created 2 weeks ago. If you hold any Rare, you should definitely join. Obviously doesn't require anything beyond clicking join on Reddit, and it's an anonymous forum. So if you're an artist who feels like you can't necessarily talk about these things on Twitter, you can create a new Reddit handle and then talk about these things anonymously. And I'm the only one who's not anonymous on this subreddit. It's r/Super Rare DAO. So the proposal that's discussed there is for people to stake their Rare and then gradually accrue greater voting power. And the mathematical formula is sort of spelled out there, but it would max out after 500 days. And if you unstake it anytime during that period, basically your voting power would revert to 1 per Rare token. But if you stake for 500 days, you could gradually work your way up to 2.5 per Rare token. And initially the proposal was going to include sort of like a badge system where people can show their dedication to the DAO. But there's a lot going on already. And the basic idea is not to dilute the value of the token. In fact, I have another proposal also laid out on that subreddit that would use the DAO's Ether to buy back Rare in circulation via discounts on sales for people who pay in Rare. So basically, depending on the price of Rare, an auction winner or somebody who wants to buy now would buy enough Rare to pay more or less the equivalent of what they would have paid in Ether. The artist gets paid in Ether out of the treasury. The treasury gets the Rare, and then there's that much less Rare on the market, thus boosting its price. So, I'm just trying to bring some of these tools in that I've seen used more or less effectively in other sectors. And I think I have some, sense of how artists think and what they care about, but I also understand the fungible space better in many ways than I do the NFT space. And so I guess I'm trying to be a liaison between the two, if that makes sense. So I guess I'll leave it there for now.
Love that. Nice, short, sweet introduction. I just think it's so fascinating that we have such a diverse group of folks coming into our space. And again, like having someone like yourself, well-versed in art, law, and the legal side of things, coming in and intermingling and helping to lead charge in this direction is really cool. But I think there are some questions that folks may have. So, Showman, take it away and ask Chuck those questions.
Hey, Chuck, what's going on, man?
Hi.
All right, let's cut to the chase. The SEC and the U.S. Treasury have their sights on the crypto space in order to stave off inflation. In regards to securities, there's not enough clarity on what makes a coin or token a security.
Right.
From your experience and knowledge about Rare and the space in general, would you say that Rare's practices fall into the area of being a security according to current law? And if not, why?
Well, one of the problems with the current legal framework is it doesn't provide clear answers up front. And that's a problem in other areas of the law too. I don't know how many artists are on here who have dealt with fair use issues, or how many have consulted a lawyer about whether, borrowing from another work was fair use. If they weren't experienced dealing with artists, they probably would tell you something like, well, it's a multi-factor test. No one factor is dispositive, right? There's case law suggesting that this matters and this matters. That's not very helpful to artists, but that's an accurate description of the law. That's also an accurate description of securities law, right? So you have this Howey test, which is a multi-factor test where no one factor is dispositive, and that's utterly unhelpful to parties trying to plan their affairs. So I've actually been playing hardball here with the SEC. I don't know if they're playing back, but I'm throwing some sort of, lobbing some grenades at Gary Gensler, who's not a lawyer, incidentally, and the SEC, saying, the way you've been handling this is not satisfactory and actually provides inadequate due process and notice as to what the law is. So if you basically pick on a project that I care about, I haven't said that in so many words, I'm going to challenge the SEC's authority to regulate in this space at all, right? Because their regulation of many, probably most coins and tokens is not under the security language of the Securities Act. It's under the investment contract language. The Howey test is technically the Supreme Court's 70-year-old interpretation of that language. We have a very different Supreme Court right now, and that's problematic in a lot of ways. But one way that it's not problematic is that the current Supreme Court in the US, and that's where most of the problems are for projects, or the current Supreme Court has shown a lot of skepticism of agencies, especially when they wield their power in sort of cavalier ad hoc ways. And there's maybe no better way to describe the current SEC than that. So I actually would, raise the stakes for the SEC and say, I'm not just challenging your interpretation of this as an investment contract or a security. I'm challenging your authority to regulate this type of thing under statutory language at all. And in fact, I'm asking the Supreme Court to do what is already hinted it wants to do and take away the deference that it gives agencies like yours to interpret ambiguous language. It's not that I necessarily think that that's best for US policy. It's that I think that's best in terms of game theory and strategy for litigation. You have to give the other side something to lose, right? So I'm not that interested in litigating with the SEC on whether something's a security or an investment contract. I just want them to go away. And the best way to do that is to give them something to lose, like their authority to regulate in the area. So that's how I would approach the issue.
That's interesting. Here at the WIP, I've had a number of things to say about Gary Gensler and also Janet Yellen, and everyone's probably sick of hearing me talk about them constantly because it does kind of set up many artists here for failure, or like they're leading them into situations where they won't be able to get themselves out of. I was also called a crypto bro randomly when I called out Gary Gensler for attempting to establish U.S. law in regards to social tokens through litigation instead of just having positive conversations with people who are knowledgeable about the subject in order to establish language in regards to securities. So that was pretty wild. But anyway, that leads to my.
Yeah, well, at least he's paying attention, so that's good.
No, it wasn't him who called me a crypto bro. If he did, I would be like cheering and like running around naked or whatever. No, some random person who wanted to seem like they knew what they were talking about. But it leads.
Well, okay, and that's another problem with mainstream understanding, right? All of crypto is lumped together And, I know there's been a lot of discussion about this, and this is not the right time about how problematic it is to talk about cryptocurrency, given, that's sort of what the press still talks about. And so much of what we're interested in this space is not about currency. I mean, yeah, payment systems are part of it, but a small part. So the only thing I'll add about, artist-related DAOs is that I think there's a strong First Amendment component, because the super rare DAO is going to be voting on which art gets showcased, right, in the space race. And that means that for the SEC to focus specifically on the super rare DAO and the rare token would mean a fairly serious burden on the collective exercise of that free speech. Now, it may or may not be the case that other cryptos and other DAOs qualify for full First Amendment protection, but this is pretty much a paradigmatic example of core First Amendment expression, deciding what art to feature. So I think Rare is a very unattractive target for the SEC. And I can't imagine a worse target for setting case law that tells the SEC to back off than attacking a culture DAO for that reason.
It's great that you say that, because my next question was, well, if it's not attractive to attack a culture DAO, would it be more attractive to attack a single artist with their own social token and using them as some sort of example to scare away anyone else who's looking to, innovate into the future? And
I think in general, it just looks really bad for the government to target artists, right? It's associated with a lot of dark periods in American history. And if I were Gary Gensler, I would start with entities that claim to do nothing more than essentially replace fiat, which is kind of what they've done, right? And if I were to branch out from there, I wouldn't go near artists for years until I'd established, precedent that gradually, I don't think he'll be there that long, but he's not a lawyer. He's not thinking in this way. As far as I can tell, there's no strategy at all behind his thought process, except everything that's out there, I want the authority to regulate. That's not really how lawyers think. Lawyers think about what are the contours of this agency's jurisdiction, right? If I take this position now, what does that set up in the future? And as far as I can tell, he's not doing that at all, nor is he, from a political perspective, thinking about the backlash that the kinds of defenses I've talked about, which zealous lawyers will bring up sooner or later, would have on many policy issues that the left cares a lot more about than crypto, right? It would be the SEC's perspective. And it gives everybody a single sympathetic figure to rally around, too, plus the First Amendment issues